Hello, everybody. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm here with my rescue panther, Nunzio. So, welcome to our weekly stream. I apologize. I was here last Monday. It was the Monday prior, and nobody could really hear me last Monday because my voice was so just gone. 90% of that is good. So I talked to a nurse practitioner this week and said because I was wearing a face covering and talking so much during PAX Unplugged that the cold that I had, instead of leaving, so normally when you get a cold, it either you're done with it or it'll like settle in your chest. Those are the most common. She said, but with the prevalence of if you go to an event and you wear a mask a lot, and so try to get healthy before you go to an event, I guess, is the takeaway if you're gonna end up wearing a mask, because all the talking I did, the cold kept getting sucked back through my larynx, and so I had my head cold ended up settling in my larynx, which I didn't know was the thing, and most people really didn't know a thing, and until a couple years ago, it was like 1 out of a million head colds would do something like that. So, welcome to Alexandria RPG. We're a non-profit role-playing game library. We travel to events and do awesome, cool stuff with game books, and the library's ever growing. And you too could help us grow more, either by donating books, or volunteering time with us, or donating any type of monetary value, and it helps keep us going. We got a couple 3D printers recently, so we can make little fun things. And first thing I printed was their little pugs with mustaches, modeled after the Imperial Guard, Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard of Australian Army. So they have little fuzzy hats, and they're hilarious. I'll take some better pictures of these and share them. I'm probably going to do a painting video with them because they're just adorable. But with Nunzio here, he doesn't really let me use all my hands. My keyboard has to be away from me. So we will get to the news. Stop loving my water bottle. I don't need you to knock it over. I'm glad the lid's on. Get a 21-pound cat nuzzling your water bottle. You get paranoid about it being flipped over. Stop loving my water bottle. I'm moving it. I want water, but he's like, "Why'd you move it?" He never gets enough attention. Let's see. Where'd my controls go? There we go. And get rid of my face and bring up some news. So this I found interesting. WotC is apparently saying Dungeons and Dragons is under monetized, and I'll kind of agree, but I'll also point out that holy crap, I don't without them going to the direction they're going. So we all know the direction they're going. They're going to do the 1D&D, and it's going to be a monthly fee. It's what they want. It's how they're going to monetize D&D. And if you ask any company that does role-playing games, it's hard. Monetizing role-playing games is tough because, you don't have to buy anything new. You can go buy first edition AD&D from 1978, and you get the monster manual and the DM's guide from 77 and 79 respectively, and then you can play with that for the rest of your life. You can pass that down to your kids and grandkids, and they never have to buy a new game. That's one of the beauties of a role-playing game, is you don't have to buy the latest and greatest thing. It's not like having a computer or game console. I love having old game consoles because I don't have to update everything. What are you doing? No, don't love those. There's too much on my desk for you to love, I swear. Not enough of it smells like you. So WotC is saying, D&D is under monetized. But I mean, they're putting out several books a year. They're through WizKids. They're putting out miniatures. I mean, they're doing so much stuff that they don't even have to do. Like, they're not creating content for the vast majority of what they're bringing money in for. So it's a weird thing. So, according to an investor-focused fireside chat with Hasbro CEO Chris Cox and Wizards' new CEO Cynthia Williams, D&D is under-monetized. So, again, Chris Cox was former CEO of WotC before he moved up to Hasbro, but both he and Cynthia came from Microsoft, and the new head of D&D also came from Microsoft, but in Microsoft, the Office 365. So they have a direction they're going. When they say it's under monetized, it's saying, hey, we've got to figure out how to do D&D as a service where we're charging people monthly to play our game versus charging people by the book. Some people might take this as, they're going to raise the price on everything. It's not. They are really trying to go for that as a service market. So the recent investor presentation tells us a lot about the future of D&D. Under-monetized, though, as it may be, as Williams states, D&D may have never been more popular, and we have really great fans and engagement. Both points are true, according to the data gathered from D&D Beyond, WotC's newest acquisition. And if you look at the numbers from Roll20, half of their 10 million user database or user base is 5e. So they've got 10 million people signed up using Roll20, and 5 million of those 10 million are 5e. And D&D Beyond, it's all 5e based, and they have 10 million users. So I don't know how many of those 10 are also users of Roll20, but it could be 5 million, could be 0. So William called out the market data for the platform, which shows that Dungeon Masters make up only around 20% or so of the game users' database. They account for the lion's shares of spending. That is very correct, and it's always been that way. Either your GM is buying stuff because the GM wants to run a group of people through, or it ends up coming back to the GM. Somebody's buying them a book or whatever to to basically bribe the GM to do something cool and new. Everybody get shop for Christmas ads on that time go round. So, but the makeup of the gaming role-playing game market has always been roughly 20% of your market is your GMs, and they are going to be the lion's share of your spending. After all, a DM is the only one who needs to have a full set of the rules. A player can get by with just a player's handbook, and actually a lot of players get by with no books because they borrow the GM's book. The DM needs the monster manual. Actually, doesn't even need a monster manual. They can make up their own. Dungeon Master's Guide. They don't even need the Dungeon Master's Guide. So honestly, in most modern RPGs, you can get away with you can get away with just a player's handbook. Hey, thanks for the 21 months. I can't believe we've been doing this online stuff for nearly 2 years. That's crazy. What do you mean, time to sing above the grass? I don't get the reference. So, they talk about catalogs and trying to get more people to spend, but when it comes down to it, WotC just wants to turn D&D into a monthly subscription that you have to pay to continue to play, and ultimately I think that's going to hurt. I figure the first 6 months or so of one D&D, they're going to do gangbusters. Be like, look how well we're doing. By the beginning of year 2, that 14-15 month mark of everybody paying monthly, they're going to have a massive drop off, and they're going to have just a handful of people paying, and that's it. Or they're going to have people that are moving over to, they're going to have people move over to other platforms where they don't have to pay monthly. Sorry, I've been dealing with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy a lot this past week. Okay, I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I don't get the Sing Above the Grass. I missed that reference. And I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, watched the TV series, and listened to the radio show and everything. So maybe it's just something I happen to miss. But so I think I've beaten this to death. Yes, D&D is kind of it's under monetized for what they think they can do with it, but it is vastly it's well monetized for where they should be. Let's see. I don't know when these released, but just found out at PAX Unplugged from WizKids that they were doing a paint line, and it's in conjunction with Vallejo. So I like Vallejo paints. So if they're doing if they have remotely the same color, quality that the Vallejo stuff does, man, yeah, this is going to be worth it. And the cool thing is it is D&D centric, yes, because WizKids has a D&D license, so they're going to make a bunch of stuff D&D centric. So the paints are not soon, because I know here in the Tacoma area, you can go over to. I don't know if Terra Crux has the starter kits or the intermediate kits, but I know they have individual canisters soon, or the individual pots up. They just put them up this weekend. So if you are interested, hit up your local game store, see if they have them. And if they do, pick up a couple, try them out. Again, it's with WizKids in conjunction with Vallejo, so the paints should be good. I mean, I can't say they are until I use them, but again, it's Vallejo. I've never had bad paints from Vallejo. So you look, I mean, there's a nice variety. So they have the let's see, black pudding. They don't. Oh, this one could be. So this Displacer Beast. Vallejo has one of my favorite colors to build up to black from. It's German gray, and it's looks very similar to this. So if this Displacer Beast is the same color as that German gray, oh man, I'd be happy. And I wonder. So. Gloss varnish, matte varnish, metal medium. Oh, the metallic. So, if you've not used the metal medium, if this is the same metal medium that Vallejo has, you can put it into. So you put a couple drops of whatever color you want on your palette. Put a drop of this, the metal medium, into it, and it turns any color you want into a very metallic-looking color, and it's pretty awesome. So. Wonder how good the coating on their white is. I haven't played with white and yellows and reds from Vallejo in a while. Last time I was doing a lot of painting, I was mixing my own paints from. I was mixing my own acrylics down, because these are all acrylic-based paints. Very intrigued. They got some game effects. I want to play with these game effects. Dry rust, dried blood, rust. So these look really cool. They have washes. I used to, for the cost of one GW pot of paint, I would make an entire, a jar, giant tub about this big around that deep, 20, or it was probably 12 ounces of wash for roughly the same cost as one pot of wash from GW. So, and I haven't played with Vallejo metallics in a while, because Vallejo also makes an amazing, I'm pretty sure it's Vallejo, Their liquid metals. They're has a chipping medium. I'll have to play with that. Man, there's so many cool things coming out in paints recently. But Vallejo's liquid metals. They're alcohol based, so they're not acrylic paints. Oh, but they're stunning. So I need to find my Vestroyan models. Nice deep black coats with a nice effect here. I have cat hair in my mouth. Thanks, buddy. But all the metallics on those are those liquid metallics. Excited to actually play with these. And WizKids may be sending us a bunch of stuff. They gave us a bunch of minis at PAX Unplugged. I didn't know that they were doing unpainted minis, but their mini quality has gone up so much in the last 10 years. I'm excited to sit down with some of these minis and start painting them. Let's see, Turbo Dork, small company doing paints, and they've got they're already sold out of some of their stuff. So these are they have a bunch of really cool transition paints. Come on. So this is hemoglobin. This is one paint. So they're color shift paints, which I think is really cool. They can be a lot of fun to paint with. They can also be really hard to paint with. So Turbo Dork is doing some really neat paint colors. Oh, nice. A silicone paint palette. That's not bad. So I want to try some of these out when I'm painting on some stuff. Let's see. Privateer Press previews their March releases. So for their Iron Kingdoms 5e, they got the Nightmare Empire, the Scoundrel's Guide to the Shard Islands. No, don't go back there. You can hang out here, but you can't walk all over my desk. Normally I don't let you on my desk. Sorry. Chatting with the cat, who has no clue what I'm saying. Even if he does, he doesn't care. Okay, so Nightmare Empire, Scoundrel's Guide to the Shard Islands, Tales from the Blackwater Cantina. Yes, Nunzio Attack. For those that are watching, if you look in the chat, you can see that the Nunzio attacking a D20. Nunzio is part of our little gremlin bits. So new minis. The one really cool thing with Privateer Press is if you get into Iron Kingdoms, and you can end up buying a ton of their minis for their tabletop miniature game, which are super awesome minis, and you can use them in your RPG. Some of the minis are they make some really cool stuff. But a lot of cool stuff coming up from Privateer Press in RPG news. So that's all in March. Let's see. Paizo introducing the narrative team. So they've got a whole new team of people putting together new cool narrative stuff. If you follow Starfinder, Pathfinder stuff, you'll really understand what this is about. And this is basically a new team coming in, and I'm gonna let you down, buddy. Not happy that I put him down, but it's too hard to pay attention and keep him from attacking everything on my desk, and keep him from getting I got so much cat on my desk. Normally don't let cats up on furniture. But anyways, If you are into stuff from Paizo, whether it's Starfinder or Pathfinder, their narrative team is like their editing staff that helps direct where the story and everything's going. So they may hire like outside writers or whatever, but this is the team that's putting together everything as it goes forward. So they've putting together a new narrative team. So some people are super excited about it. Some people may be a little leery. You know, anytime you've got a big change within your staff that is directing the story or the path forward, it can be a little scary to the fans. But I look forward to what they're doing. Let's see, quests are back. Greeting, Pathfinders. I'm excited to announce that we've decided to bring back a bit of Blast from Pathfinder quests. So our Pathfinder bounties have served the purpose of short standalone adventures since 2020. With 2023 on the horizon, however, we decided that the product with the bit more length would give more of what you want. So what they've been doing is these really short little adventure bits to share. They're going back to their quests, which were a little longer than what their bounties are. So I think that's actually pretty cool. I know some people within the Pathfinder realm that are actually super excited for this. So, and you know, it's a little more content. The bounties were a really neat idea, but they were great to like jam into a storyline, but they were never enough for a standalone thing. And then this is Starfinders will still be getting Starfinder bounties. We got a copy of one of the first things that Wizards of the Coast has ever actually given us was a Dragonlance book at PAX Unplugged. So we actually got a Dragonlance. We got a book from WotC. It's a red letter day. But they gave us Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. It actually got checked out a lot, and it is officially available as a product. So if you are into D&D, head on down to your local game store, see if you can pick this up, or if your GM is into it, maybe swing by and pick up a copy for your GM. I was a huge fan of Dragonlance World. This is kind of a reset-ish. This is not a continuation of the Dragonlance World. It is the Dragonlance World we know from the 90s, but it's not a continuation story because Margaret Weiss and her group over there, they're still producing books from the original storyline that started in 89, I think it was. So yeah, it's awesome because that storyline is still going, and I kind of wish WotC would have picked up from there, but all kinds of issues with Dragonlance IP behind the scenes. So part of me is happy that Dragonlance is now available for play for 5e players. It's a cool world that I want to play in someday. I think I'm going to have to put together a second ed Dragonlance campaign. At PAX Unplugged, I don't know why I didn't cover this last week. At PAX Unplugged, Gloomhaven announced they're doing an RPG. I know that there's some people kind of mad because they were selling copies of Gloomhaven, and a lot of their backers on Kickstarters and stuff hadn't got them yet. And they're announcing, without everybody getting the previous product, they're selling the previous product and announcing a new product. See, we can still get the 3.5 Dragonlance stuff too. I never really read any of the D&D 3.5 Dragonlance stuff, even though D&D 3.5 is probably my favorite edition of D&D, or 3/3.5. I'm loving the OSR stuff because it fixes things that I had issues with in first and second edition. I love tons of stuff about first and second edition that I would love to adapt to 3.5. I always loved having min-maxes on, hey, you're a dwarf. You can't be a dwarf if your constitution is below this. I always thought stuff like that was pretty cool. Oh, cat hair everywhere. Oh, my office is warmer than it is upstairs, and he started just dumping hair everywhere. Anyways, so Gloomhaven is doing RPG. Don't know when it's going to be out. A lot of people loved the world, and they're going to do a Kickstarter. They're going to do a crowdfunding campaign in April. So it's going to be forever before we see this game. But it was announced, and thought I'd cover it. December is only shedding season if you go from a cold room to a hot room, and then cats just dump a ton of hair. My office is in the basement, so I couldn't remember if I covered this. This came out last week. So Modifius has been doing, for like 6 years, I think it is, has been doing the Conan game in their 2D20 system, and their license runs up December 31st, and have already been told that they're not going to get they're not going to extend the license with them. So I know that they can continue to sell product until sometime. Let's see. While the license ends December 31st, you'll still be able to buy existing stock till the end of June 2023. So, I don't know what they're going to do. I really enjoyed this. I love the Conan world. It is the epitome of sword and sandal. It's a low magic world, and it's if you get into the old stuff, it's awesome. So there's been a bunch of different iterations of Conan over the years, and I think the 2D20 was actually really cool. I'm interested to see where it's going to be. But the cool thing with RPGs, you can pick up the books and not worry that they're not going to put anything new out, because you can be creative and do your own stuff. Let's see, so Free League, I thought the Seasons of Mystery was already out, so they just put this message out, which I'm kind of confused. So, because I thought this came out like last year. Seasons of Mystery for Vaesen Nordic Horror RPG is out, which I'm again, I thought this came out last year. But there's you can get the PDF on Drive-Thru RPG, you can get the book through Free League, and you can get the virtual tabletop stuff at Foundry. So I love the Vaesen stuff, and again, I could have sworn this came out last year, but they literally, like, this was listed as they announced this today. Let me look up. Let's see. Oh, my giant beast is gone, so I can see. Today games. Let's look up some. Yeah, they're just re-pushing the book, I guess, because you got your core Vaesen book, then the Wicked Secret and Other Mysteries, then the Season of Mystery came out, and then the Britain and Ireland came out. So I guess they're just re-pushing the Season of Mystery, because if you go to the news, Season of Mystery out now as of today. I was like, could have swore that book was already out. Okay. Cyberpunk Red Alert plus Witcher Watch and Falkenstein Fest. So this is a couple days ago. Always love our Telsorian, a great group of folk. Let's see. Good morning, Chumbas. We've got a fair amount to share this week, including new Cyberpunk Red DLC. And if you don't know, so if you like any of the games from Artel Saurian, get on their Discord or pay attention to their website because they're constantly doing cool stuff. They're putting new free stuff out all the time. So let's see. Out now this month's DLC for Cyberpunk Red. Actually, before we share it, we'd like to make sure you've redownloaded last month's DLC, Spinning Your Wheels. There was an error concerning the rules for bulletproof glass on bicycles. Bulletproof glass on bicycles. Okay. So they've made a correction of bulletproof glass on bicycle, and Pulsar's got a point. He says Season of Mysteries might have gotten a second printing, so that might be what they're talking about. Now for the main event, Santa Santa once again added the Megacorps to the naughty list and brought presents to all the good little edge runners of Night City. This month, we're happy to share 12 classic pieces of cyberware from Cyberpunk 2020, bringing them into the time of Red with the 12 days of cyber mess. So, if you want cool, so you can always go to their download section and see what awesome stuff. They just keep adding more and more cool stuff on their. Okay, I don't know what shield mode is, but Lackey is turning things on while I'm like, what's going on? Thank you for taking care of some of the behind the scenes stuff there, Lackey. But let's see, where is there you go. 12 days of Cybermus. So Chain Rip, Cyclops International Bug Eye. Again, just love the awesome world that Mike Pondsmith and all the folks over at Artel Saurian has created over the years. And want to thank them for continually doing awesome stuff for everybody. Because they don't have to put out free content. They put out something free basically every month for one of their games. And that is just super awesome. And I want people to support companies like that. Let's see. Some cool free stuff on Drive-Thru RPG. Battle Zoo Ancestries Menagerie. So this is 5e and Pathfinder compatible. And it's free with Battle Zoo Ancestries Menageries. You can finally play the turkey of your dreams with free Menageries Heritage for Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Subrace for 5e. You'll be able to waddle along with the best of them. Like a turkey, you have a snood, a crunkle, waddle, and a beard, as well as a fan of tail feathers. Whether your connection with the great song is different than the song. I just can't continue reading that without. Oh, you can conjure up a sour red berry sauce that can improve the taste of the food and heal. Oh. Yes, go look up Battle Zoo Ancestries, and you too can play as a turkey in Pathfinder 2nd Edition or 5th D&D 5e. Copper Horse. Copper Horse immerses you in a vast world of America, a biodiverse and ever-changing land reminiscent of the Wild West. As steampunk and machinery continue to spread, magic of the world begins to dwindle, but now is the time of coexistence and growth. Explore a new frontier of vast deserts, bustling trade towns, and more while exploring the magic and machinery of the world has to offer. I'm a bit of a steampunk fan. I'm a bit of a Weird West fan. It's funny because I grew up not liking the Old West or anything. I have grown to love Westerns. If you look at some of the older Westerns, the directors were great, and they, especially with the tools they had at hand, there's some amazing storytelling done in some of those old movies. The stories are old and have not aged well, but go back and look at some of those older movies on how storytelling was done, and tell you what, there's a lot of modern directors that could go back to some of those old westerns and learn something about shot selection, storytelling, and character progression. Characters need flaws. Remember that. And then this is for basic / OSR. It's just a ton of crazy weapons. So Tiny House Rule Supplement for BX and its retro clones that expands the qualities that weapons have, allowing for more tactical play. Measurements in this supplement are given in squares, multiple so it's a small add-on. It gives you a whole bunch of new weapons or different info about weaponry and how to use them. Okay, disclaimer for all the people that need to tune out before I go to crowdfunding stuff. We're going to the crowdfunding stuff. So, hey, now that I don't have a giant cat trying to nuzzle my water bottle, I can get water. Love my cat, but 21 pounds of nuzzling water bottle, it's a little scary on my desk. Okay, we're going to crowdfunding in 3, 3.5, 2, 1, crowdfunding. This, so this is out of Colombia. I wasn't sure how to, part of me wants to say this is a board game, but this is something that can be very, very useful to, this can be a lot of fun with role-playing games. So, I just want everybody to watch. There's nothing. The video is tiny. There's no sound to it. It's a board that you can spin. And the cool thing is it's a print and play thing. So, it's print and play, which is super cool. So, I think it could be the very basics levels of an RPG. But it can also be something that you could really expand into. I think this could be a lot of fun for getting players into an RPG. Yeah, it was listed under RPGs and board games, and I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know, but I really want to back this. I think it's super neat because you got a ton of, there's a lot of options for that little silly board that's a print and play. Boop. Hey, you got a new map. Boop. There's a new map. And the cool thing is it's just got a bunch of different levels on it. So it looks like an RPG at its most basic, that's just a step above a board game. But like myself, I used board games a bunch as a kid to get people into RPGs. We all know Hero Quest. Last week I showed off a little bit about Fortress. This is there was a lot of, well, there weren't that many. There were a couple board games through the 80s and 90s that we could get people addicted to RPGs. This looks like it could be something small and fun that you could do the exact same thing with. So, $4 gets you the PDF version of it. That's it. Those are your options. $4 gets you the print and play version. Dungeon, that was the third one I couldn't remember of. So I never used Dungeon, but I do know a bunch of people that did use Dungeon as a kicking off point to get people into playing RPGs. I used Hero Quest, and it wasn't even mine, it was a friend's Hero Quest, and I used Fortress because we actually had a copy of Fortress so it was a Canadian game, so a lot of Americans never saw it. A copy of it wandered into our store through somebody ages ago, and that copy's long since gone. I'm pretty sure sold it in the early 90s when we closed our store. But yeah, $4. This is a super neat idea. Like, I'm intrigued by this. I'm probably gonna back this because it'll probably kick off. It'll probably send you all the files as soon as it's done. So, let's see. Deck of Creepy Cryptids RPG deck. So I talk about all the time. I love having decks of cards for not as a core mechanic necessarily. Core mechanic cards can be a lot of fun, especially if it's just a standard deck of cards. But I love having cards available for GMs to be able to do additional stuff, especially GMs that might not think as quickly on their feet. So you can get some of these things. So this is for Old School Essentials, which is cool, and the images on it look really good. Let's see. They've got 26 days to go. They're a little over a third of the way there. They'll probably make it. But and love their deck is oversized, which can be really fun because if you've got good art, it'll really make for something cool. So I think stuff like this is neat. I'd like to see a little more. It looks like they've got they've got everything done. So their video showcases it, and that's the rough thing is I don't always go over the videos with everybody in these. So it looks like they've got a lot, and the art is really cool. So I really hope that they do well with this. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. I see they're using Krampus as an example. Yeah. So got Krampus up at the top here. Then let's see. We got a Wendigo. There's the Chupacabra. But yeah, they've got so they're far further along than I thought they were. The Mothman. So let's see. Legionnaire. 20 days to go. They've made it way past their goal. Let's see. This is one I think I talked about last week, so I probably shouldn't have brought it up again this week. I try to bring up something that's stuff that's just started and stuff that's getting ready to finish. So because I remember somebody saying the Lancer RPG is actually really fun. I've never played it. I don't even think we have a copy of the Lancer RPG in the library, but this is an expansion for the Lancer RPG. And the art and everything looks really cool. So if you are into the Lancer RPG, here looks like something could be a lot of fun to expand your game. Spam's wife wants to do a project related to cryptids. Cryptids are a lot of fun. Radio Waves, micro RPG. 22 hours to go. So they only had a $150 goal. And almost $1,100. So 2 to 8 players, no GM required. Sometimes I love the no GM required. Radio Wave is a game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. What's funny is a lot of people are making post-apocalyptic world games, but weirdly they never sell well. As much as I love post-apocalyptic stuff, it tends to just never sell as well as generic sci-fi and fantasy. Fantasy always outsells everything within the RPG world. Generic sci-fi, and then modern, and then a couple other genres, and then you get down to a lot of people love post-apocalyptic, but it's rough finding people that want to play, and they just don't sell all that well. I mean, Gamma World has never sold a fraction of what any edition of D&D has. Yes, there is a Tank Girl RPG. It was put out by West End Games in the 90s. We have a couple copies of it in the library. It can use either the D6 system or the Master System, if I recall correctly. Oh, this is neat. So turn out the lights, make the game immersive. Turn on the music, play music from the 50s and 60s. This will help set the mood. Tell stories using the included question prompts. Well, if the lights are out, how do you do that? Find out how it ends. Roll a d6 to find out the ending narrative. There are 6 unique endings contained within the tear open Mylar bags. So, it is a neat little game. I like the Mylar bags, even though you rip them open, they're resealable. Yes, there's been no new Gamma World since D&D 4th E. And actually, that was probably one of the best Gamma Worlds. Was a lot of people didn't like the 4E game system, but outside of these stupid collectible cards for Gamma World, that was frustrating. That system worked really well with the Gamma World stuff. So, let's see. 53 hours to go on the Book of Phantasm, a world expansion book compatible with 5E for the Arklands RPG universe, set in a parallel dimension riven by war. It is from Cardiff. Isn't that where? What was that spin-off show to? Yeah, the booster packs for that 4D&D 4E Gamma World. Oh God, it's angered me so much. That was them trying to figure out how do we make Magic the Gathering in an RPG. Torchwood. Yes, Torchwood was based in Cardiff, if I recall correctly. See, Book of Phantasm. So this is an expansion for Arklands, the RPG. So if you know Arklands or you're interested in Arklands, this is probably something